everyone. So today I was going to come and pick some berries, and I thought I'd show you what I was going to do. Just first thing before I start, I just wanted to let you know there's lots and lots of edible plants in Alaska and all over the world for that matter. But there are plants that are poisonous, and so I'm going to show you some lowbush cranberries and possibly some highbush cranberries today. But it's really important for you to identify them correctly. So I would recommend a plant identification book. I know cell phones, there's lots of apps that will help you identify plants. But I would not recommend just going out based upon my video and just picking what you think is the right plant. I take no responsibility for your lack of research. And so I'm going to show you what I know and help you to understand a little bit, but it's up to you to be responsible and to really actually do the research and find out in your area and on your property what is edible and what is not. So with that, we will go look at some lowbush cranberries. Okay, so in Alaska, we have two different kinds of cranberries. We have a highbush cranberry and a lowbush cranberry. The highbush cranberry is nothing like cranberries, like what you think of cranberries. They're really juicy, they make really good jelly, but they're not like cranberry sauce like you would think for Thanksgiving or something like that. But the lowbush cranberries are. It's a wild version of the cranberries like you would buy in the grocery store. So today I'm going to pick some lowbush cranberries. I'll show you what they look like and what kind of plant they grow on. And then I'll show you, I'm only going to make like maybe 2 or 3 jars of this because it's not something I use a lot of. You know, basically Thanksgiving, Christmas. I have a meatball recipe maybe I'll share with you that has a glaze on it that's got cranberry sauce in it, but it's not something we use a lot of. So I don't pick a ton. A couple things to know about cranberries is, or at least these lowbush, it's best if you wait until it's like this time of year, late in the fall. If there's been a frost, they're even better. I'm not sure if we've quite had a frost, but we have been down to 32 degrees. So anyway, I'm going to pick these and I'll show you what they look like and show you some of the plants and that kind of stuff. So, okay, we're kind of underneath a bush, but I'll show you. I'll pick a whole. So this is a lowbush cranberry. Whoa, let me get in the camera. It comes on a leaf. It grows really close to the ground. It's got kind of a waxy leaf, and they turn a very dark red, as you can see, when they're ripe. So this is what I'm going to be picking. They're on the ground. Like I said, I'm not going to pick a ton because I just don't use that much of them. But you could, I guess. But they are a little bit harder to pick because they're on the ground rather than up. Like the highbush cranberries are up. You can just walk, you know, you don't have to bend over. These ones are a little bit harder to pick because you got to bend over, but they're really good, so it's worth it. Alright, I just wanted to really quickly show you. These are the highbush cranberries. See how these are, I'm like kneeling, but these are fairly tall. You can walk through the woods and you can pick these really easily. But they're very much more juicy, like I said, but they're beautiful this time of year. They stay all winter. My kids like to go through the woods and pick them all winter long. They freeze. Anyway, these make great jelly. I'm not going to do that today. I might get it done. I haven't done it yet this year, but I usually do an apple cranberry jelly, and that's pretty good. But anyway, I just wanted to show you what the highbush cranberries look like as compared to the lowbush cranberries. Alright, so as you can see, I finished picking my cranberries and I've washed them. I picked these yesterday. I didn't have time to finish my video yesterday. But I got these all picked, and as I was picking, I remembered that my daughter, one of my daughters, loves to make cranberry muffins. And so I only needed about 2 or 3 cups for the cranberry sauce. I wasn't sure how much, but then I thought, well, I might as well pick a little bit of extra just for that. So I've been looking in my cookbooks to see how much cranberries I need for the muffins. So it's a cup per recipe. So I'm going to set aside probably 3 cups of cranberries for muffins, And then I was looking at, and it may depend, I was looking at my cranberry in my Ball Blue Book at the cranberry sauce, the whole berry sauce, because I like the whole berry sauce, I don't want the jellied sauce, at how many cranberries I needed for that. And the recipe calls for 8 cups of cranberries, but I am going to cut that down because I do not need that many. That makes 6 pints, and I only need like 3 cups. So I'm going to cut that way down and make a much smaller batch. But anyway, so I just wanted to show you these cranberries, how beautiful they look. They're very jewel toned red color. And I'm not going to put the recipes on my website because they're not my recipes. But you can, like I said, you can go to the Ball book and get a recipe for the cranberry sauce. And then the cranberry muffins the recipe that I use for that is just out of Betty Crocker. So I'll kind of show you what I do to make the sauce. And this sauce is interesting. It does not call for pectin. And I think it's because cranberries are fairly high in pectin. But I haven't made the sauce for a long time, so I can't remember if it sets up totally, which is kind of what I'm looking for, is for a totally set cranberry sauce. Anyway, so we'll see what happens. Alright, so there's 3 bags of cranberries, 1 cup each. These will be good for muffins. So these will go in the freezer and we can have cranberry muffins at some point in time. Alright, now I'm going to measure more carefully how many cranberries I have. I think this is 2 cups. And I had not quite a cup there. So we have about 2.5 cups of cranberries. So I'm going to adjust the recipe down to this 2.5 cups of cranberries. Alright, so while these boil, they're supposed to boil until the skins pop. I just wanted to show you, so I am not going to get down my giant canner to do 2 small jars of cranberry sauce. So what I have here is just a regular pot that's filled up so that I have an inch headspace on my little jars. I'm using short jars. So just like a 1 cup short jar. And I'm going to put, because I don't have a rack that fits this, because you want to keep the jars off the bottom of the pan. You don't want them sitting directly on the heat. I just take a towel, fold it over, and I'm going to put it in my pot to keep the jars off the bottom of the pot, and then boil it for the 15 minutes that it recommends for the boiling water canner. In just a minute, after these cranberries all finish popping. It says not to stir, but I have to kind of stir once in a while. Just because I want to see what's going on. Okay, that's probably close enough. You want the berries to be starting to pop, but you don't want them all to be popped because you still want whole berry cranberry sauce. So we're going to call that good, and we're going to put those in jars. Now I always do one extra jar whenever I'm making anything because it seems like the recipe is always off, and it almost feels like I can get a whole nother jar with what's left in here. And then some. So always make sure you have extra jars. Sometimes I don't get even enough, but sometimes I get extra. But of course, I got extra jars and forgot to get extra lids. And even with that, there's still a little bit left. This will have to be the tester. We'll cool this down and taste it. Alright, so this pan is boiling. Or the water is boiling, the pan is not boiling. And I am going to use tongs. Now this is the hard part, is getting this to stay put where you want it. Because the jars don't like to go in there and sit right where you want them to sit. So it's kind of a combination of two hands, tongs, all that kind of stuff. So now we just need to get that boiling again, and we'll process that for 15 minutes.